Let's talk about how to install VSTs or VSTIs in Reaper. Follow the guidelines here and your life will be simpler, I promise. Okay, I'm Keith. Let's dive right in. The first thing you want to do is decide which folder the plugins will go into. It doesn't really matter. You can do it on your desktop. I do it in downloads, for instance. When I download a new plugin, it goes into the downloads folder. So I just throw a VST folder in the downloads and just drop the zip file in there and unzip it if that's what's happening. Some people like to divide their plugin folder into 64-bit and 32-bit plugins. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Most of us run 64-bit systems and most of us run Reaper 64-bit. If that's true, you can run both 64 and 32-bit plugins, no problem. But you don't want to be running them at the same time. What you want to do, now listen to me because this is important, don't install both versions of a single plugin. Now, there are some cool plugins out there that haven't been updated to 64-bit. You might want to use them, no problem. Install them. You're good to go. But many plugins come with both a 64 and a 32-bit version, and you can install both of them, but don't. What you'll end up with is a problem like this. Let's suppose I'm going to throw some effects on this track, and I'm going to put some CLA guitars on it. Oh, I have a whole bunch of versions here of CLA guitars. This one's the VST3, so I'll probably end up using that. But it just makes it a giant mess in here because I've got too many versions of the plugin installed. Just install the 64-bit version of a plugin, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I've heard some really great things about this reverb, so I thought I would take you through the process of installing it. So we're going to download here for 64-bit. And you see we're getting a zip file. Okay, here's the file in my downloads folder. Let's open it up. Now we've got another folder here, so let's just take this and drop it into my downloads, into my VST folder. Okay, now you can see it here in the VST folder, so it's ready to go, but I'm going to do something here. We'll open it up and take a look. And this x86 is probably a 32-bit version, so I'm just going to delete that right here because I don't want more than one here on my computer. Now let's go to Reaper and Options and Preferences, then VST, then Rescan. There it was. You saw the name pop up briefly, and let's see if we have it here. Okay, and there it is. The VST3 version is the one we want. Looks like we got another version in there too. Let's see if we can get rid of that one. Yeah, there we go. Let's kill the DLL and just keep the VST3 file. Gonna rescan again. And if rescanning doesn't work, you can always just you can clear the cache and rescan. You can restart Reaper and that will work as well. And there we go, the VST version of this reverb, which is pretty cool. And that's something that you'll find. Often all you need, unless there's a licensing scheme involved, is the DLL file. So if you want to, you can just throw the DLL file, the correct one, into your VST folder. Now here's another plugin that I downloaded earlier. It's called Wider by Infected Mushroom. It installs just a little bit differently. Let's see how it works. As you can see, it has a setup file. So what happens when we click this? I haven't extracted the files yet, so let's do that. Okay, now I have this exe file here. Let's see what happens. Typical license agreement. Okay, now this is a very common thing. You have all these different versions of a plugin, and you're going to want to choose only the one that you want. So I'm just going to choose the 64-bit VST3 plugin. And this is also a very common path for VST files, but I'm going to put it in my usual place. which is my downloads folder, and then the VST folder. Okay, we'll just install that one plugin. Okay, now we're ready to go. Wider should be available in Reaper if we rescan. Let's take a look and see if we find wider. There it is, wider by infected mushroom. Okay, one more thing. Let's take a look again at those folder options. As you can see, I have a mess here. I have various different folder paths. I should have taken my own advice and just put them in the VST folder in the download folder, but I didn't. So you can see here, if you need to add another path to the VST folder, you can just type it in here and follow it by a semicolon, and then the next path. So each of these file paths is followed by a semicolon, except for the last one here. And here is my typical file path right here where I have most of the plugins. But I have some other plugins scattered around, which complicates things, but it's a lot of trouble to go back and try to collect them all and put them all in the VST folder again. So follow my advice. But if you need to, for some reason, if a program won't let you choose the installation folder, you can get the path and put it in here and then separate the paths by a comma. Okay, that is how to install VST programs in Reaper. I hope you learned something. I hope it makes life easier for you. If you like this video or found it useful in any way, hit like and subscribe. There's more videos coming. We're oriented toward independent musicians that don't have producers, don't have labels, and we're going to help you get your music